Hello, welcome to Questions for Atheists. My name is Scott, and today we will answer further questions about what is atheism. First up on our list is, I'm a Christian, so why are you saying I'm an atheist if I don't believe in Zeus? And the answer to this is that atheism is a response to a single question. And being an atheist for one God is not the same as claiming to be an atheist in the broad sense, or claiming to be an atheist for all gods. So, anytime somebody proposes a God, and you say, no, I don't believe in it, that makes you an atheist about that God. But generally, if someone identifies themselves as an atheist, that means that that has been their conclusion for every God that has been proposed to them. And as you can guess from this, that means that atheists and monotheists are in complete agreement about every God that they don't believe in, with the exception of one. And one thing Christians like to bring up is that they were the original atheists back before it was cool, where basically they stopped believing in other people's gods and said, no, my God is the only one exists. And you might be thinking, wait, Christianity is derived from Judaism, so why weren't the Jews the first people who were atheists? And we can talk about that another time. But for now, we will just point out that certain parts of the Bible can be interpreted to imply that there were other gods, but the Yahweh, the Jewish God, was the only one they were supposed to worship. And this idea that you only worship one God, but possibly accept the existence of others, is something called henotheism, but we can get into all of this another time. So our next question is, I thought atheists said there was no God. Why do you get to change the definition? And this is rising because atheism is a muddied term, like I was saying. The basic definition is the lack of belief in a God, but there has been so much confusion around it that there are actually two more terms I haven't even brought up yet, called soft and hard atheism. And this is basically just another way of saying atheism and anti-theism, where soft atheism means that you do not have a belief in a God, and hard atheism means you have a belief that there are no gods. And so this just goes right back to my previous definitions of atheism versus anti-theism, now repackaged as soft and hard atheism, and some people might say kind of cutting into agnosticism again. But basically, if someone tells you they're an atheist, take it to mean that they don't accept claims about gods, and that should cover just about every variable definition of atheism there is. So our next question is, if you don't believe in a God, how can you believe in anything? And I think that this starts from the theistic idea that a God existed, and then that God created the world and everything in it. So in order for the world to exist at all, a God has to exist first, and since we exist, clearly a God exists. Well, atheists take this idea and approach it from the other end. Instead of saying that because we exist, something must have existed that created us, we say, clearly we exist, we have evidence that I exist, you exist, the world exists, all sorts of things exist. Let's try and work backwards to see if we can figure out where they came from. And if you take that approach, then it becomes much harder to say, well, I'm going to jump to the conclusion that a being for which I have no evidence created everything. So basically, atheists generally believe things for which there is evidence. Some don't, some, even though they identify as atheists, believe things without evidence, like crystals healing people or telepathy or things like that. But often, if someone identifies as an atheist, they tend to believe things once the evidence supports believing it. So this makes it very easy for atheists to believe in physical things for which we have evidence, but other things like ideas, like how can an atheist believe that the world is real when their senses could potentially be tricked, or how can atheists believe that there is something like morality that people should follow? These are good questions, and I intend to answer them in future videos because these questions deserve videos entirely to themselves, and I want to keep focusing on more derived questions for this. So, let's move on to our next question, which is, why do you say that atheism is not a belief? So, the answer to this is, again, that there are more options than just belief and disbelief. You have belief and non-belief. So you have belief and everything that is not belief, and disbelief and non-disbelief. Disbelief and everything that is not disbelief. So disbelief is basically the idea that you believe a claim is wrong. So if somebody says X and you disbelieve X, you believe X is incorrect. So let's say you encounter two people holding a box, and one of them says, "There's a kitten in this box," and the other person says, "There is no kitten in this box." Those are the only two possibilities, and you can't believe both of them because that would result in a paradox. So what do you believe? Well, if you say to the person who's saying, "There is a kitten in this box," "I don't believe you," that doesn't mean you are automatically agreeing with the other person. You can say "I don't believe you" to both of them if you are not sure what to believe. I mean, in the example I've given, there's no real indication to believe either way. And this basically illustrates that belief and disbelief are not the only options. You can essentially be neutral and withhold both. So, our next question is atheism a religion? And this has a very easy answer: no, it is not. A religion has tenets and dogma and ideas that you have to accept to be in the religion, and atheism does not have any of that. Atheism is just the answer no to the question, do you believe a God exists? It does not tell you anything else about the world. It does not tell you how you are supposed to live your life, how you are supposed to behave. It gives you nothing other than that one answer. Now, some people are not going to be happy with this answer, I'm sure, and please feel free to tell me why you object to it, and I can probably address your objections in more detail later. But I think one of the main ones has to do with the next question that I'm going to answer, and that is, doesn't atheism take just as much faith as religion? And this is where the idea that atheism is a religion comes from. You have to have faith in something that you don't understand, and that's where your religion is. But if an atheist is really honest about questions like this, like, is there a God? They can say, "I don't believe it," but it really comes back to, "I don't know." And it doesn't take any faith to say, "I don't know." You're not putting your belief anywhere. You're saying, "I don't have the answer." I certainly would like to have an answer, but I don't right now, and that is the only way that I can honestly answer this. And one of the things that makes this question hard is that I don't have a good definition to use for faith here. And this is actually something that I would like to hear from theists. What is your definition of faith? Because a lot of the time when I ask this, I get answers that are basically, it's a dearly held belief. It's belief in things that you can't know, but I mean, you could just use belief for that, and then do atheists have belief? No, I've just been explaining that atheists just do not believe something. So, if I get a better definition of faith to work with, I will revisit this question and take a look at it from that perspective. And so with that, we come to our last question. Why are you an atheist? And this is both the simplest and the hardest question to answer. The very simple version of the answer is, I have not been given enough evidence to believe these claims about deities. And the long answer is basically going to encompass all of the videos that I do on this topic. All of the answers that I give to questions for atheists are basically going to be covering the reasons why I don't find certain evidence compelling, why I reject some theistic claims. All of that has to do with why I'm an atheist. And that's going to do it for now. So if you have any more questions or feel that I didn't cover enough of what I was talking about or didn't give a satisfactory answer, please let me know. Leave a comment below or send your questions to questionsforatheists@gmail.com and I will cover more soon. So I will see you next time. Goodbye.